Kings of 40 years, numbers 40 through 31. Here they are: Danny Ainge, John Salmons, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Francisco Garcia, Olden Polynice, Brian Grant, Keegan Murray, Hito Turkoglu, Kenny Smith, and Scott Pollard. Our players were determined by a panel of 19 Sacramento basketball luminaries, and a couple of them are going to join us now, Drapes. Nice stuff to join us. We've got Niko and the infamous sign lady, Barb Rust. So Mr. and Mrs. Sign Lady joining us. Niko, I apologize. Is that how we should address you? Are you Mr. Sign Lady, or should we just call you Niko?
Either one.
Okay.
I actually put that on a jersey once as a joke, and then it kind of stuck because everyone always wanted to talk to Barb and take pictures with Barb, and then for a long time, so it was like I might as well be Mr. Sign Lady, so I put it on a jersey.
Gotcha.
And then everyone liked it so much, I just kind of went with it. So.
Yeah. Well, it's good to catch up with you, and both of you, Barb. We really appreciate you coming on with us, and thanks for your participation. Barb, I hope this exercise was fun for you.
The exercise itself?
Yeah.
I was dealing with a man who has to be very technical and all these statistics, and it went on forever. Okay?
Do I know him?
So I wouldn't exactly call that fun. But I think we did a real thorough job. He was like, okay, we're going to do this according to the categories, and we followed the directions.
Okay.
We appreciate it very much. Yeah.
Hey, Russ, take me through it then, man. What kind of formulas did you come up with? What kind of stats did you look? And how much did you weigh in, connection to the community as well?
Well, we looked at the 4 criteria that Jay sent us: the history, the impact, the success, and the excitement. So we made 4 different criteria. We each did this totally separately. I did one separate, she did one separate, and we took the numbers for each category and averaged it to get a category score for that criteria. Then we added the 4 criteria scores together to get a total score. So
how much do we owe you? This is like a part-time job or something like that. My gosh.
Well, he is newly retired. He just retired a couple weeks ago. I get to deal with that.
Oh, yeah. Lucky you.
Yeah. Barb, I know for me.
Had to go.
Go ahead.
We had to go half points as well, because if we just went, full numbers, there'd be lots of ties. So there was a lot of math.
Wow, that's a lot of math.
Barb, I know it was difficult for me to separate the emotion with some of these players, and you guys, these guys. Was that difficult as well to separate just how you feel about a player from how maybe he actually performed?
Well, first of all, you need to know I did not separate that.
Okay.
I think it's a very important part of this whole thing, because we're talking about Sacramento Kings fans. That's who we are. We get emotional about our players, and we're loyal to our players, and that was part of the deal with me and the stats. It's like, okay.
Now, the stats were just one of the criteria. They weren't like the most important part. That was equal importance on criteria. So it wasn't just the best statistical players. We definitely took into effect the influence they've had on us and relationships we've built with them over the years. So that probably would bump up their scores a little more in the other categories. So our list might look a little different than your final list.
Barb and Niko Rust with us. Of course, Barb, the Hall of Famer, sign lady. They're both teachers, by the way. They helped us out with putting together our top 40 Kings, and we just had numbers 40 through 31. They're nice enough to help us out and join us today on Sactown Sports.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. I always see them at the grocery store, at Rayleigh's. We always meet up in the cheese aisle, it seems like. But TMI, no, a little too much information there, a little too much. Hey, Barb and Russ, when you look at, let's take out the current crop of Sacramento Kings. Just tell me some of your favorite players over the years, not including any of the current guys.
Well, oh man, I don't know where to start. Obviously, the 5 guys that were on the Sports Illustrated cover, we'll start with that. That's a no-brainer. And we've had various, different reasons why we bonded with players. I can name a few if you want. DeMarcus Cousins, Kevin Martin, Jason Thompson. We actually got to know his entire family. Francisco Garcia, Isaiah Thomas, Matt Barnes, Dante Green, Willie Cauley-Stein, Harold Presley. And I'm going to save the last one for later.
I forgot that one.
Well, and the obvious one. I don't think anybody's going to doubt that number one is Chris Webber, who we've had the most interaction with over the years.
Yeah,
he's my guy forever. No one's ever going to top him. So, yeah, and then of course De'Aaron, who we got up. I won't tell you where, but
I think he's going to do well. All indications are he's going to do well in this voting. Yeah.
Actually, I was pleasantly surprised when we did all the stat part of it at how high he came up that list. It was pretty amazing. I think De'Aaron is very underappreciated for what he does. And this kind of proved it because of what he's done the years he's been here.
Yeah, we're talking with Mr. and Mrs. Sign Lady, Niko and Barb Rust. Did you guys have any views on the players that were named today? And look, I know this is confidential. Some people don't want to, nobody wants to say anything that could be construed as critical of another player. But today we had Ainge, Salmons, Bogdanovich, Francisco Garcia, Olden Polynice, Brian Grant, Keegan Murray. Jay was surprised he made the list because he hasn't been here long. Keto, Kenny Smith, Scott Pollard. Any thoughts on any of those guys or the fact that that they've made the list?
I'm not going there. we had a couple of those.
I'll say we had 4 of those on our list.
Okay.
The other ones we had, they fell into our little honorable mention category.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you only had 4 of those 10,
Yep.
Man, I'm starting to doubt my list here. Then, because these are, Ultimate Kings fans, been around since day one. Barbara Rush, you talked about some of the players you got close to over the years. One of the things we talked about was DeMarcus Cousins. This was last week. Lengthy discussion. Just tell me about your interaction with Big Cuz and what it was like off the court with him.
We went a lot. We went to many of his camps for kids down, what was the school?
Sac
High.
Yeah.
Over the summer, and where he was giving them free eye exams. We try to, show up for things like that with him. And I can't believe how amazing he was with children and all the things he did for them and the Sacramento community in general. He was a very generous person. And I loved, you need to know I'm a huge Kentucky fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's start there.
All right.
That's where, so the players that come out of Kentucky tend to always be on my favorite list. And he definitely was one of those because I watch them when they're at Kentucky and Nick will tell you, I pick them out. Oh, I want that one. And then I want that one. And then when the draft comes around and they get drafted, I get pretty excited. And DeMarcus, when we were over at Arco, we would kind of meet him halfway when he'd be on his way to wherever he was going. And we were on our way to our seat, and we'd kind of meet in the tunnel and give him a big hug. And it's like that was part of the pregame routine. So we just saw him as a really amazing human being and loved him, and still do.
Yeah,
I wish we could see him play more now.
Barb Rust and Niko Rust joining us. They are on our panel here, helping us assemble our list. Nick, let me ask you. We're talking here about the past, but looking ahead here, how excited are you about DeMar DeRozan being on the Kings?
I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun to see how he opens things up for everybody.
And Barb, any signs in mind for DeMar? Maybe you can't reveal that yet. Maybe we just have to wait and see on that, huh?
Well, you know what happens is I have to watch him play.
Yeah,
I have to. You rarely assign at the beginning of the season because I have to actually be there in person, watch him play. I start to pick up on things that I really notice and how they're reacting.
Sure.
It's a process.
It's an art, right? It's an art is what it is.
It's a longer process than making this list.
Hey, one more question from me. What has the players' reactions been, when they see their sign, sign with them, their name on it? What kind of kick do the players get out of it?
It varies. When the Weber team was playing, they actually looked for a sign every time they came out to warm up. They would look to me for the sign they called it the sign of the game or sign of the day. So they were really into it. That's kind of where it all got started. And different players react different ways. Some of them try to act like, oh, I don't see that, They don't want to acknowledge. And other ones, I try to bring the signs back when they come back to play after they've been traded. And they usually get pretty excited to see it again, and they'll give me a wave or a heart sign. We have lots of photos of those. And so that means a lot. But I do want to talk about my number 40 pick today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who'd you have?
Probably someone no one else has.
I can guarantee you. Okay, so a little background story. I was a kindergarten teacher at a school in Orangeville a while ago.
Uh-huh.
And I had this really young, bright student who the first time he saw me called me Kings Lady. And I knew right away, wow, this little kid knows something about the Kings. And as the year went on, we really got to talking. He knew everything about the Kings. He was totally into the Kings. And that young man, after a whole year, I just absolutely adored him. And I realized this kid's got a dream. And I can't wait to see what happens. I followed him. He ended up at Folsom High School, at St. Mary's College, on the Sactown Kings. And last year, he finally got out on the court.
Ooh.
And that man is Jordan Ford. And I told Nick, I don't care what anybody else does for number 40. You're putting Jordan Ford on. And I'm not apologizing.
Nor should you.
Amazing story of a kid making a dream come true. And I was so proud of him and so happy for him when I saw him on that court. He knows this. I talked to his parents. It's just, I still can't believe it happened.
Yeah.
But
That's incredible.
cool.
Yeah.
Hometown kid, yeah.
The great part is,
I mean, how often does that happen on an NBA team,
Yeah.
the great part is that this is your guys' ballot, and you've come together as teammates to make one. Can I ask you, Nick and Barb, because I can only imagine how many signs. Well, it's a two-pronged question. Do you have a count of how many signs you guys have produced, or Barb, you have produced, have you made? And then second part of it is, what happens to all those signs? Like, where do they go?
Mm-hmm.
Are they in the garage somewhere, or where are they at?
Oh, no, they're in the house.
All of them?
All the ones we still have. We've made, at one point we counted, and we had over 500. We were just over 500 at the time. And that was a couple years ago or so, maybe more. So I don't have an exact count, but it's over 600 by now.
Wow. It's impressive. Yeah.
And how do you decide which ones to keep and which ones not? And what happens to the ones you don't have anymore?
The only ones we don't have anymore are the ones we gave away to the actual players.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and there's every once in a while we feel a need to give one away, or in Weber's case, he actually asked us for a couple to put up in his restaurant when he had his restaurant here.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we pretty much have all of them since the
Oh, gosh.
Well, we can't wait to see you out at the arena this year. And Barb and Nick, seriously, thank you so much for coming on with us. And thank you so much for participating in this. We really appreciate, Even if Jordan Ford's number 40, we really appreciate your insight. Yeah, thank you very, very much. And we couldn't have done a list like this without you. So thanks for helping us out.
Well, appreciate having us on. And thanks for letting us be a part of this.
Yep.
You're welcome, guys. Thank you so
care,
much.
All right, now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah. Wow. That's
wow, 600 plus. That's impressive. And Jordan Ford.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to give him, the hometown guy probably like an extra 60, 70 points,
If he was in your class.
Right. Yeah. Think about that. Yeah.
Surprised you didn't have him higher. Right. Yeah. So anyway, once again, 40 through 31 today. Danny Ainge, John Salmons, Bogdan Bogdanovich, Francisco Garcia, Olden Polynice, Brian Grant, Keegan Murray, Hito, Kenny Smith, Scott Pollard. Somebody here in the chat says they had 6 out of the 10, and it sounds like Barb and Nick, what did they say? They had 4.
4. Yeah, 4. I would like to see theirs because clearly a lot of theirs is emotional attachment too and relationships that they've built over the years. A guy like Jordan Ford,
right?
Making their lists.
Yeah. It was Linda Harrell. Linda says, I got 6 out of 10. Not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciated that. When I asked her, was it hard separating emotion from the numbers? She goes, oh, I didn't do that.
Right.
I didn't do that. That's stupid.
All right.
No,
Why would you do that?
Right. Yeah. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. We will come right back with a look at how Magic Johnson went after the Ant-Man. Blocker charge next on Sactown Sports.
Sacramento weather.